Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this here. Now, we did find that one of the sides measures 6.5. Now, this is a rectangle, so the side opposite to the LT, which is IN, would also measure 6.5. Now, our goal is to find the other sides now. We want to go ahead and find the segment LI and NT. And in order to do this, we need to play around with similarity based off the triangles to see what triangles correspond to which. So I do want to go ahead and point out that we are working with the rectangle. Now the angles inside a rectangle, all of them equal 90 degrees. So all of the angles here measure 90 degrees. Now, since we know that the rectangle is, since we know we have a rectangle, the sides opposite, which is LI and NT, are going to be parallel, as well as the line LT and IN. Those two sides would be parallel, which tells us that they're not going to be crossing ever. And so this line that cuts through them is actually telling us that we have angles that are alternate interior. So this angle here would be an alternate interior angle to this one here, and that would make them congruent. So I'm gonna go ahead and play around with these two triangles here, and I'll go ahead and do LIN in yellow, and then I'll go ahead and do LYT in a dashed blue. And I'll go ahead and draw them on the bottom. I have them pre-drawn. So these are the triangles we're working with. We're working with LIN and LYT. So on the bottom, this is what we have. And we have the angles that are corresponding to each other, which would be L and N. And then we have Y and I as our right triangles. Or right angles, I'm sorry. So then in this case, I do know that LT measures 6.5, but we're actually not going to need this measurement, so I'm going to go ahead and ignore it. I will be using the 5.2 and the 3.9. So then in this case, LY is 5.2, and then YT is 3.9. And then in this case, NI is going to be 6.5. And we're actually trying to find IL. So then based on this here, I can go ahead and build my proportions here. So I have NI corresponding to the side LY. And then IL corresponding to YT. And all I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and substitute. So I know NI has a measurement of 6.5. And LY has a measurement of 5.2. Then IL is what I'm trying to find. So I'm going to go ahead and place that with the X. And then YT is 3.9. Now from here, I do want to go ahead and start off with cross multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead and show that here. We have 6.5 times 3.9, and all of that is going to be equal to 5.2x. So I want to go ahead and know what 6.5 times 3.9 is, and we have 6.5 times 3.9, and that gives us 25.35 equals 5.2x. So then our next step, since we want to go ahead and isolate the variable, we want to go ahead and isolate the x. I'm going to go ahead and do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 5.2. So then we have 25.35 divided by 5.2. And in this case, that gives us an answer of 4.875. So then x in this case is about, or is 4.875. And this x represents the Li or IL. So IL equals 4.875, which means that And this side here measures 4.875, and the opposite side to it also equals the same thing. So we're almost done. Our last thing is to find perimeter. And we had said that perimeter was adding all sides. And in this case, I could just take the measurement of Li and In, multiply each of them by 2, and then add them. So then we have, I'll go ahead and do that in green. So we have P for perimeter equals 2 times L plus 2 times In. So then Li, we found it to be 4.875, and then In, we found it to be 6.5. So we'll go ahead and multiply those two, and I have 2 times 4.875, and that gives us 9.75, plus 2 times 6.5, which gives us 13. So if we add these two, 13 plus 9.75, we're going to go ahead and get 22.75 as our answer. And this here would be our final answer. This would be perimeter. So in this case, our final answer would be 22.75 units as our final answer. So there you have it.